today is about to get very, very interesting, very heated in the studio because, our agenda has been up for discussion. I mean, some legends in the music space globally are saying that we really do not have a message for the world out there. We're talking about Afrobeats. So we'll be looking at that, and we'll be talking about, can we actually build substance from this whole Afrobeats conversation? Because we've been calling for the world to hear us, especially Africa. We've been calling for the world to pay attention to us. Now we have the attention from the world, but some people think we do not have any message for the world with all the attention we have. Is that the case? Or that is actually not the case? We'll be having another conversation right here in the studio. But I am such a small boy to be hosting this legends, actually. And first off, I have right here in the studio Mr. Ahuma Bosco Okanse, who is the Director of Communications and Special Projects at Musica. Salute you, sir.
Pleasure's mine to be here.
How are you doing?
Lovely.
Ah, beautiful. Yeah. You see, when you meet a Rastama, you say, Jah bless. Jah guide. Give thanks. Bless up on yourself. Bless. But how has it been for you? What have you been up to?
Okay, so what you call it, the union collaborated with Showbiz International, and on the sides of the Olympics, we did a Ghana Fest in Paris. So I'm actually just coming back from Paris. I arrived on Tuesday night. We had the show with Kofi Kinata, Efia Odo, Bessa Simons, and a few of the young ones in Paris.
Oh, that's nice. Right. That's nice. Did you bring me some perfume? Yes. And then also joining us today for the conversation is a legend when it comes to music production right here in Ghana. And when you hear it's JMJ, baby, you know who I'm talking about. Yes, JMJ is right here with us. He dates way back to the 4x4 days. Yeah. I was even talking to him and I was like, I'm trying to remember one particular song. And if you know Shaka Zulu, you know what no face with Shaka Zulu. They don't want no scary face, they want a fresh boy. They want fresh crazy. Yes. But let me give you his real name. I know most of you do not know his real name. His name is Joshua Raphaelson. How are you doing, Joshua? Does it feel weird when people call you Joshua?
I hardly hear it though. I really, even home self, they don't call me Joshua.
They call you JMJ?
No. You'll be surprised.
Oh.
My family don't know who JMJ is. Not my dad, not my mom. Oh. I'm known as Selassie at home.
Yeah. Oh.
Because I hang JMJ at the doorstep before you get home.
What, is it that daddy is not happy with what you were doing back then?
Not, the word is not happy, but you see, coming from an Ewe home, they were expecting you to have finished school, become a doctor, corporate guy, and you pick up this instrumentalist life, playing band, going up and down. So at a point, mommy realized that, okay, this boy looks like I can't stop him. So he decided to shift me into church.
Oh.
So I started playing at, I think, Word Miracle. Yes, at Janasari's place.
Now Perez Chapel.
I spent majority of my time there before I entered into learning or music production at K's Frequency in SLM down. Yeah.
Wow.
So, if you remember, 10, 15 years ago, people have heard the name Jam Master J, but they didn't know who.
So, what does the JMJ mean?
So, the truth about the matter is, it's funny. We were recording Samini Billy, we were in the studio, yeah. And then I was still that church boy, always in tie, go to studio. And so there was Panji Anof. And then there was DJ Black. And then there was Samini and me. I think there was Sammy B also. Okay. And then they were like, yo, your beats are dope, we like you, but this is your name Joshua Pade. Some church level, what can I name this? I mean, and that was just the beginning of producers putting their sing tunes, then JQ, Hammer, and stuff like that, all of that. So DJ Black was like, no, I'll give you a name. Then he just entered into the booth and he screamed, Jam Master J, baby. I didn't even know what it meant, who it was, none of that. But it felt good. And then Samini entered and then he did the song and we all loved it. Years later, I was like, yo, I need to find out where this name come from. And then I went, then internet hasn't even started springing up like now. I remember this busy internet, you have to go to a cafe to have access to. So one time, I typed the name and I realized, yo, the guy is dead, but he's following his more than me alive. He's a big time, I mean, hip hop legend. So then I had to quickly start abbreviating the name. So we started JMJ instead of Jam Master J. But it was still the same. And luckily, my name too was Joshua. So it felt like, okay, let's just tag along.
Wow, man, this is such a good one. And today you've gotten to know how the whole JMJ conversation, everything, literally his even music production and everything started. So that's very, very good. But before we get into the conversation that we have today, let's check out these videos that are made of people talking about Afrobeats, you know, where we've come from, I mean, what it even means to them, and do we have the world's attention? Are we doing something good or we are doing something bad? I mean, we have Bontekila, we have Buju Banton, and then we also have Burna Boy. But later on in the show, we'll bring you something that Fuse ODG also had to say about this whole conversation that was going on. Let's check out these videos.
Hell yeah, Afrobeat has nothing to do with dancehall. Afrobeat is another genre. Yeah, Afrobeat never came in competition with dancehall or came with intent to take something from dancehall. I don't know why people kept on comparing Afrobeat and dancehall. Why? Afrobeat is like a baby from dancehall. It's a relative. Afrobeat and Jamaican music is similar music, African and Jamaican music, and I'm so happy for Afro. Music originating in Africa, from the Congo beat. Africa finally has a sound. So I'm excited, and Afro not taking nothing from dancehall. Afro complements dancehall. See Nicki Minaj and Skeng, they all over. Afrobeat don't even have no lyrics. They have a lot of melody, groove, and topic. Yeah. That a lyrics? No, it's a topic. Yeah. We know what yeah mean. Yeah. Just a topic and the melody. Yeah. Style, melody, topic. Simple. Look into my eyes, tell me what you see. Can you feel my only lyrics that you know comparing to Burna Boy? Yeah. No? And yeah. It's a bigger song, you know?
Musician out of Africa was Fela Kuti.
Yeah.
Fela Kuti. Lucky Dube from South Africa. We had Salif Keita. We have Youssou N'Dour. We have Baba Mal. Now, no one wanted to go beyond the pale of what those brothers was doing. I went to Africa in 1991 and I spent like 3 weeks constantly at the universities under baobab trees.
In Kenya?
Educating people from Ghana, all over the continent about reggae music and dancehall. But I was happy when they came to their senses to realize that music is the bridge that's going to connect us. But what I was disappointed in, they didn't try to connect with Jamaica the roots. They connect with everyone else except us.
And you talking about Afrobeats?
Yes.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
So they connected with everyone else except us. But when we look at what they're doing, their music is not free in Africa. It's far crazy.
90% of them have almost no real life experiences that they can understand, which is why you hear most of Nigerian music, or I'll say African music, I don't even know what to say, Afrobeats, as people call it. It's mostly about nothing. Literally nothing. There's no substance to it. Like nobody's talking about anything. It's just a great time. It's an amazing time. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, life is not an amazing time. Do you know what I mean? No matter how nice you want of a time you're having now, or you had at some point, or you plan to have, you're still going to face life.
Yeah. And if I'm lying.
Exactly. So it's like, for me, I feel like music should be that. Music should be the essence of the artist.
Yes, you're welcome back. So there we have conversations from Born to Killer, Buju Banton, and Burna Boy. Now, right here in the studio, I have Ahoma Bosco and JMJ joining me for this conversation. I'll start with you, Ahoma Bosco. What makes good music? Let's start from there, so that we'll make that progress into all that they've had to say about this. What actually makes good music?
So to answer, I like to contextualize it within the Ghanaian setting.
Okay.
Music plays a part in every stage of our lives. All the rites of passage, from childbirth to naming, to marriage, to death. So it means for every occasion, there is a song that you would say is appropriate.
Okay.
Within that context, I will say your situation will define what is good music to you.
Okay.
If you're sad, you'll play a song that will cheer you up. If you want inspiration, if you're feeling good, you'll play feel-good music.
Okay.
For some of us who grew up in the late 60s, 70s, early 80s, black music was a liberation music.
Okay.
And I'll talk about the likes of Curtis Mayfield, the guy who did One Love originally, that Bob Marley took the lyrics and worked it to become One Love. Yeah, Curtis Mayfield actually did that song in the 60s.
Okay.
To mirror what was happening in America, you know, in the 60s, black people were fighting for our rights.
Yes.
Fast forward to the 80s and 90s, reggae music played that role in the fight against apartheid. And that's why His Excellency Nana Addo, when he granted nearly 200 African Americans and people from the diaspora citizenship, he referred to Peter Tosh. No matter where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. So to answer what is good music, your situation will determine what's good music. If somebody is sad and you go and play a certain kind of song, he wouldn't say it's good music.
Oh, okay.
You get it? If somebody is feeling good and you go and play moody music, or so that is what will determine good music. Having said that, for people like Jam Master who are producers and things, they will tell you that for a song to be generally accepted as a good song, just like beauty, if a beautiful lady walks here, whether you like it or not,
it's a beautiful
So for a song to be determined as a good song, they're setting components,
elements that it
have.
Okay, all right. Now, coming to you on the back of that, JMJ, what are these components that you would say come together to make music? Oh, this music is really, really good.
First of all, I want to say a big thank you to Godfather Ahoma Bosco. You know why? I'm just coming from a platform and reggae heads, and we were having this conversation. I wish Pram I and Co had listened to what he just said. Like the way he defined music.
Yeah, good music.
And Africa.
Yeah.
What it means is that we had music at every stage of your life. Let me not digress. So to answer your question, you said, and your question is
the elements
that make
good music.
So I'll go back to him again. So if an artist stands for a good feeling per his brand, or he's a storyteller per his environment, or he's a fighter socially. So he looks at activities that happened and speaks about it. It means that becomes his or her identity. That person stands for. So you realize that in his way of appearance, and his way of communicating, in his way of picking sounds together, all comes together to put the message at the forefront. So if you have somebody who finds passion in telling the love story between a woman and a man, you don't expect that person to talk about freedom fighters. Occasionally he might do one or two of that, but his first calling is seen geared towards that subject. So when such a person comes to me or goes to any producer first of all, there's a conversation that is had back door regarding what are we about to do? What's the plan?
Yeah.
What do we
and that's
want
something I'm really interested in.
What do we want to do? Probably a Sak will call me, a Samino will call me. Sak, let me use for instance Sak. So he has a song with Obrafo, Hope.
Hope, yeah?
Yes. That song was produced by me. A lot of people don't even know that. So I knew Sak from the beginning when Obrafo put him on. He and Guru Kasebo, and then they did that in Hip Life song when Obrafo was taking the crown
and putting it on him.
I saw him from the struggle.
Yeah.
A Tema freestyle rapper who was pushing. Then he gained our attention. Then he became a household name.
Sure.
Now, if you tell me I want to inspire, we understand because we can both see from where he's coming from.
Sure.
I remember that day, he and Dr. Duncan, they were trying to find my studio in Dansuma. They were at Dansuma roundabout. Me and Obrafo drove searching for them, picked them to the studio. That's a story. So if that person is now saying he's giving you hope, for me, who saw that, I would best to know, okay, what kind of melodies
can I put together
sounds that would be able to embellish his words and bring that feeling out. You understand?
Yes, sir.
That same person, before he became that, we did a song called Yeah Bole. He and Yaosiki, who's now a pastor.
Yeah,
they were young guys who, those days, Yapuno, on the street of Tema, always when they see each other, freestyling. So the energy is different.
Yeah.
The story for him at then is different. But see the transition from that time to where he is now. So imagine you want to box him into just one subject.
Talk about...
Or constantly be... You will lose a whole lot about him. There are others too who focus just at one space.
Yeah.
And then they excel beautifully at that aspect also. To answer you on in terms of context, those are some of the
elements. All right. Now, Alma, can you just give us a brief evolution of how we got to this whole point where they are talking about now Afrobeat is everywhere? Because we know we knew High Life, and then they told us, oh, reggae, we are coming, or we are getting all our melodies from the reggae and everything. Fela Kuti, all of that, a fusion of reggae and high life is what is getting us to this point and everything. So can you just give us a brief, the evolution, so people will be able to have, because I really want us to have this conversation in a proper context, where people will now understand that we are not just waking up and we got to this point, but we've come from here and we got to this point.
So to do this, I will start from Professor John Collins.
Okay.
Good. Professor John Collins, in his writings, shows us that when the slaves were taken from Africa to the West, although they may not have taken African drums with them, they took the technology of making drums. So the moment they got there, since they are taking their culture, they made drums. So their music went with them. Dig this. So African music went to the Caribbeans and went to America. And through slavery, the emancipation and all that, this intrinsic culture showcased itself in the various musical forms of the Caribbeans and the Americas. If you go to Brazil, where you have the biggest black population outside Africa, there's 150 million or so black people in Brazil. You will hear African music. They still practice Shango and all those things. So the point I'm building is that African music is the basis of reggae music. Because if you study the evolution of reggae music, the ethnomusicologists will tell you that in the Caribbeans, they had Kumina. Kumina is the music they play, and then those of us who grew up going to or watching the Ladura churches, and then they say Emumueba. I don't know how they say it. You are in the spirit. So Kumina music moved into mento, and then it moved into ska, and they slowed the beat to have rock steady, which became reggae. And then the youths in the dance hall looking for pace and excitement. And this is where the DJ thing started from. You know, like before the song will start, the DJ will hype it up. Anytime there's an instrumental break, he'll come in. That's what Uroy them were doing. And that is what led to what Buju and Co are doing. So dig the genesis. There's an African vibe right there. Then you go to America. They'll tell you that jazz is the music of America, but it's the black people who started playing jazz music, and then white people took it and made it their own music. Rhythm and blues, which is been modified into R&B, and then again the youths looking for something else, added the bass and the drum, made it more funkier, and it became hip hop. Full circle, the music comes to Africa. If you study what E.T. Mensah and Co were doing, E.T. Mensah and Co and Ghana Ba and Francis Doku's grandfather, they were playing with white people who were sailors and soldiers who had come to Ghana. So when these guys left, then E.T. and Co had to fill the gaps, these white people, and then that's what led to high life music. And Collins will tell you that the high life we're having now, starting from the western and central regions, is based on the two-finger style of guitar playing, which they learned from the crew, the Liberian people. So you realize that that African thing, although they were playing music with western instruments, the melodies, the beats, everything was...
The African identity was still there.
Push it fast forward. In the late 60s, Nkrumah gave scholarships to Ebo Taylor, Teddy Osei, and Co to go to UK and learn and come back. Coup happened. So Teddy and Co had to change their ways, and then that led to the genesis of Osibisa.
Okay.
Ebo Taylor was a course mate of Fela Kuti in London. And Fela did this when the high life revolution started. E.T. Mensah and Co actually went to Nigeria and spread the gospel of high life music. So Fela Kuti knew high life even before he went to London, and then meeting with people like Ebo Taylor. Ebo Taylor in those days, they were like the godfathers of high life, playing big band high life music, master jazz chords and all those things. So Fela and him, they struck an acquaintance, and that's how come Fela lived in Ghana in the late 60s. A lot of people don't know Fela lived actually at a hotel president down here in Adabraka. And that is where he honed his craft.
Exposed to our music.
So that with high life and the jazz influences and things, he evolved and created what he called his Afrobeat. Fast forward to now, some of the leading proponents of Afrobeat, somebody like Burna Boy. Burna Boy's mother was with Fela. Burna Boy's grandfather, they were all the Fela crew. So if you check Burna Boy, he said, although he grew up in London and was doing all these things, when he had his grandfather playing Fela's music, it spoke to him.
Which was something that he also got by or honed by living in Ghana.
That's right.
Okay.
So you realize that, and as a young guy growing up in London, if you live in London, you'll have an eclectic influence.
Yeah.
You're hearing dancehall, you're hearing garage, you're hearing punk, you're hearing everything. So if you listen to Burna Boy's music, you can hear dancehall.
It's a combination of literally everything.
And that is what Afrobeats is. Afrobeats is a synthesis of all music forms that black people have played all over the world.
Thank you very, very much, Ahuma Bosco. I'm sure you at home, you've learned so much just from this one-on-one crash course for Afrobeats. But JMJ, you know, when a producer is producing beats, right, do you produce the beats only thinking about this must be a beat for liberation, or for you, you are producing the beats because it is... I'm asking this because I want to know, do you ever produce a beat and you're like, song to be a feel-good thing, or I want this to be for liberation? Because most of the time we we tend to be so focused on, oh, it must be of liberation. But then when the producer was producing it, what was going through his mind when he was producing that?
Okay, so you see, the act of producing music has evolved so much.
Okay.
In the past, it's a band that goes to studio to record what they have been rehearsing or performing. In fact, even before that, the songs, they must have performed it at shows over and over till they get a financier who is able to pay for studio time for them. And then they go to the studio, and there's a producer there who would record, capture all the performances.
All the live performances.
And put them all together for them. This was the analog days of studio productions and all of that. Life has evolved so much. Those days, when you get to a studio can be as big as this. It's plenty keyboards and all of that. But now with technology, they've modified all of this into simplified states. Like you can just pick one app, and all of this crazy theater is embedded into just one. So it brought production into another world altogether. I'm trying to answer you carefully.
Yeah.
So we have a beat maker, and then we have a producer. There are differences in all of them.
In the current new school?
Both then and now.
No. Okay.
We've always been jumbling
Yes.
all of this together. But we have, back then in Ghana, when you say producer, the only new executive producer, you even know that there's somebody. It was the days, I'll be honest, I never even knew who were producing Pabobo and Co. because we didn't know. It was the times of JQ and Hammer. They started putting their names inside before people say, hey, there's somebody. They didn't know. But let's move the conversation. So with this in mind, you can have a producer who would have to, a band will come to him with what they already play, and then they capture. And then we have a modern producer like our time, like me, who also, an artist will come to me, he had already composed his song already, and then come and sit down and sing it for me. And upon me hearing it, I start, and based on how I interpreted what he's singing, would influence me to piece melodies together to beautify whatever he's doing. That's two. Third one is our generation now, where because of fast pace, time no day, with that laptop alone, that's a complete studio. So I can sit here right now and load Fruity Loop or Cubase. Give me 10, 20 minutes, I've pieced sounds together, and we are ready to go. What I was doing, or doing that, whatever feeling I have is what I'll be putting together. You see, our job is not like you plug and then the factory will start producing stuff. We go by how we feel. Music is a spirit, and you can only explain the spirit in you to another person through your feelings.
So, JMJ, has this feeling or has this fast-paced moment made us lose substance and not be able to tell a good story like Buju Banton was trying to allude to?
Okay, so I'll disagree
and
with
I'll come to you with the same idea.
I'll disagree with you with that. Also, most because Godfather has even broken that for me easily. In the sense that if in Africa we have music for every occasion and every season, it means that at every stage in my life, there is some message that means or resonates or connects to me better. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
When I was 17, 18 in the church, I was all about Ron Kenoli, Franklin, and their words filled me. When I got to Case Frequency, I was exposed to Nananom, Chico Daoni, NFL. That was the beginning of hip life.
That's right.
You've mentioned names.
Yes, and their energy filled me.
Yeah.
Then I moved, I met Samini Elombini, who brought me Jamaica. And I started listening. That one also got into me. But every time, because remember, music is a spirit, when it hits you, it will give birth to another thing again inside you. If you're truly called by music, when you get inspired, you give birth to another. You don't copy, you don't become what inspired you. You will never be that.
That's deep.
You have to give birth to, look at Reggie. Reggie loved hip hop. He gave birth to hip life.
That's right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if the spirit is in you, if the calling is in you, once I get inspired or somebody trigger my inspiration, it means I didn't know what me mood that. So he's now
birth something.
And then how I will interpret it. Look at what he said about Fela. Fela was already musical.
Yeah.
He met Ebotela. He must have loved what Ebo was doing.
And it inspired him to now introduce.
And then he gave birth to another. He took it to his own world, interpreted it the way he felt made sense to him. Now, so to talk about washing down in substance and all of that, every generation and what inspires them. Godfather's days, I'm sure there's the liberation for African freedom, South Africa and all of that. So obviously, when you are seeing constantly they are killing your fellow brothers, that's not a time to go and be singing about love. There's nothing to be jubilating about. There's nothing to be merry-making about. That's what my problem with Buju and all of them are about. Because during that time, constantly, there was one cool toppling of government issues up and down. So you can't miss that feeling because it was affecting you too. Fast forward, we've passed that. It got to a point in time, Godfather, anytime you tune on to CNN and they want to talk about Africa, it's always some malnourished kid, hungry, and then they always post those pictures about Africa. I have friends who still ask me silly questions. Do you live in trees? And all of that. Because the media, we constantly our music. Rocky, what's the name? Lucky Dube's music, freedom fighters, and you see poverty and all of that. Africa is no longer that. Not to say there are no longer problems.
There are problems.
Even in America, there are problems.
Yeah.
The very Jamaica that is trying to tell us to be uplifting. Ask my Godfather, he will tell you about Jamaica. It's not news. Find out. But yes, still, there is Bob Marley talking about good feeling. There's Bob Marley talking about stir it up. There's Bob Marley talking about freedom. There's Bob Marley talking about all kinds of stuff. Not just liberation, 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 liberation.
I like that. Now, Alva Bosco, would you say the statement Buju made was born out of the feeling of, these guys are, okay, let me just be plain. Was it born out of jealousy?
I cannot.
We cannot tell.
Yes.
But okay, where do you think this feeling is coming from? Let me
say something. And what I'm going to say, I'll say a few things. So let me start with a conversation I had with Ochiami Kwame at the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture one day. And I told him, Kwame, do you know the impact we can have on our society if some of you guys start doing some songs, some conscious songs? Now, you see, musicians are respected.
Yeah.
And musicians carry power.
Yeah.
That's why Nelson Mandela will tell you that the influence a musician has over a population is higher than what a politician has. You know why? I can sing a few Kofi Kin. At least I can make references.
Yeah.
Where my baby there?
Yeah. As I'm waiting.
I doubt if I can do same for political speech.
Okay. I see where you're going.
So the point I'm making is, in that conversation, I told Kwame it would be good if some of them who have the power do some conscious songs.
Conscious songs. Okay.
Predating what Buju said.
Okay.
And it was a call for, you see, Fela Kuti alone made a difference in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And the point I'm making is, if some of our musicians, like Master J said, we've moved as a society from a certain era to a certain era. If musicians can mirror some of the issues of our society, so that our leaders can appreciate what the people are feeling. That's the point I'm making. Now, back to whether Buju and Co are jealous or so, well, I can't tell. Yeah. If you go to Jamaica, Afrobeats is popular. Mm-hmm. I was in Ethiopia a couple of years ago. They were playing P Square. They were playing everybody. And I was like, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So African music has come of age. Remember, I told you that African music is the seed for all the contemporary popular music in the world, especially in the West. So it's a certain recognition of something which is in their DNA. The African rhythms, African melodies that these boys are churning out. It is resonating with them because all through the years they've been hearing these rhythms and melodies in various forms. Buju was just saying something. It's just like I'm talking to you and the way I say what I say. One of the things when they come to their senses, for me it's a no. Buju should, but you know Buju is also a brother. Yeah. So what he said is like, I come to you and I'm telling you a truth, but I'm telling you a truth harshly. Yeah. Or I'm telling you something that I could have told you better in a better way. Sure. That's my point. There's nothing wrong with doing feel-good music. After Bob Marley did in '76, he did Burning and Looting. Listen to the title, Burning and Looting. That whole album was militant. Talking blues, 400 years. Then in '77, you know what he did?
No, tell me.
He did Exodus. Exodus was a big anthem.
Yeah. For movement?
Yes, but it had Waiting in Vain, a love song. Then after that, '78, he did Kaya. Kaya was largely a love song album. Sun is shining, weather is sweet.
So there's nothing wrong with doing a feel-good.
So people actually started saying Bob Marley is gone soft. You get it? Then the following year he came with Survival. Jamas J said it, musicians reflect their feelings and their social conditions. You know, so yeah, Buju is how you say. For me, it's a challenge. Dig. Imagine if somebody like Shatta Wale, right now, even Kennedy Japan tells you Ghana is hard. Yeah. Imagine if Shatta does a song like that. Wow. Nana will sit up and take it serious. Wow. Rango, I tell people that for me, and I saw Stonebwoy with you guys at Amsterdam Small Boy, his biggest song forever, none of his songs will pass Rango. Wow. Because that's an anthem. And it's an all-time anthem because African politicians always think Africans are fools. Quickly, before you go to JMJ,
we actually have to wrap up. My director to my ears like telling
what happened with colonialism was the African politicians saw the white people enjoying. So when they got independence, instead of liberating their people,
they took over the enjoyment.
They took over the enjoyment. So while we're doing feel-good songs and things,
we need to wake them up.
Yeah. We need to wake them up. But before we go, let's check out what Fuse ODG also had to say about this conversation. And then we'll be back in studio. Maybe 1 minute, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds. We'll wrap it up and then we'll move on with our conversation. Let's check out this video.
Yes, people, Fuse ODG here. I came on my timeline and I seen that Buju Banton's video and his views on Afrobeats. Now, Buju's a legend, Bigra, and he's entitled to his opinion, but he definitely missed it here. And that's one of the few Afrobeats artists who have experienced both extremes, you know, conscious Afrobeats to commercial Afrobeats. On one hand, I have a song with Major Lazer, Light It Up, that has over 1 billion streams. On the other, I have a song with Damian Marley, Breathier, and it's a song about bringing our people back home and building in the motherland, right? Afrobeats is the most revolutionary form of black music to have ever existed. But can't deny that Afrobeats would not exist in its current form if it wasn't for high life, jazz, hip-hop, R&B, reggae, dancehall, garage, grime, soul. It's an amalgamation of all of these genres. In fact, you can even say it's the child of all of these genres, and a child should always respect his or her parents. A tree wouldn't exist without its roots, but let's not forget that the roots always lead back to Africa. And I get where Buju's coming from, because most Afrobeats hits don't really have the message in it. But that's not to say there aren't Afrobeats artists who are making music with a message in it. But for me, it doesn't have to be that deep, because Afrobeats is so spiritual. A lot of times we're speaking in our mother tongues, but it still resonates with people. And it's music that's allowing Africans to now fall back in love with themselves and be proud of being African. It's allowing African Americans to want to come back home and connect back to their roots. It's allowing Afro-Caribbeans to now want to reconnect with their roots. So it's revolutionary in a way that has never been done before. 2019, I launched the Year of Return with the Ghana government, and we generated 1.3 billion for the Ghana economy. Before the Year of Return, the office were issuing out 45,000 visas that year. After the Year of Return, they issued out 750,000 visas. So as well as economic benefits, there are also spiritual benefits. The music is bringing our people back home for them to learn about their history and where they're from. And most times people are just coming to turn up and get lit because it's December in Ghana. But it's now allowing black people to take ownership back of the motherland.
Yeah, so there you have Fuse ODG also giving us his take. It feels like Fuse ODG is part of the panel, actually, because he's actually trying to replicate everything that we've been saying in studio. But before we go, JMJ, Ahoma Bosco, I mean, your final advice to any young person out there who probably might have seen this video, probably may have felt discouraged and felt like, oh, am I doing something wrong by, you know, checking out music and Afrobeats and everything? What would be your advice to these young people?
First of all, what is your deepest call for what you're doing? First, define it. Once you define it and you believe in it, go for it. The difference between then and now is that we all had to be the same. Our time now, there is space for everybody.
Everybody.
There is space for, the space is so limitless. So don't be boxed. But at the same time, as much as you have the freedom to try, do everything you want to do, be guided. Have a focus. Have a plan. I want to be known for this. I want to stand for that. I want to define this in my craft and go for it.
Thank you very much, Ahoma. Your final words before
what I'll say is our artists should take a cue from La. Every time we do homework, we have songs we call Pan. Amanziba took the word Bejake. And every year the Pan song, you have artistic license to even tell Nanado what you think, to tell Mahama what you think, to tell the Wulomo, the Manche, everything.
Everybody.
And nobody will hold you accountable. Do you understand? I think our artists should start becoming the voices of the people. The voices will go far. It will help our development effort.
Wow. Thank you very much, Ahoma Bosco. Thank you very much, JMJ. I've really enjoyed this today. If you notice, I was very calm and I was soaking it in because I was learning a lot about the whole music space, how far we've come as, I mean, let me say, as a continent. I mean, the influence that we've had as a continent on other continents and also the West. So yes, Afrobeat is not bad. We are fast-paced and it's showing the reality of our times and the times that we find ourselves in. There are actually people who are doing great music, even in Afrobeat, and I think when we were off set, we were talking about one particular artist who is very conscious with his. So yes.